Så er jeg tilbage igen, og nu er jeg på Værnedamsvej, hvor jeg har fået lov til at komme op på altanen i min gamle lejlighed. Hi. Hi. Thank you for letting me in today. It evokes a lot of emotions to enter an old flat where I lived for 7 years and had a wonderful time. So I'm really glad that I could do this interview with you. Now, how long have you been living here?
So it will be 6 years in July.
Yeah.
So almost 6 years.
And what kind of place is this, if you should describe it?
Well, I guess to Danes it's quite a traditional, like old-fashioned apartment, but to us it was like, wow, this is amazing. It looks so Scandinavian, all the high ceilings, the light, the white walls, the stucco. So yeah. And the sliding doors, all these little quirky things that probably are quite normal for you guys. For us it was like, this is so different to Britain.
Yeah. But now when you sort of have to spend probably a lot more time in it than you usually do, what is it like to be in corona-prison here?
Well, we've said many times we're very lucky to have these balconies, although they're extremely small and you can't really do anything on them. At least we can sit outside for a bit every day. Especially when my husband was ill in the beginning, and we literally didn't leave the flat for I think 5 weeks. So this balcony was our savior.
Yeah, I really understand that. Sometimes we tend to talk about that a place has a certain spirit or character or something. Have you ever talked about that or thought about it?
Well, actually, one of my favorite things to do is when it's a sunny Saturday, when I get up and I get my coffee and I sit in the window and just look outside, and there's all the little shops and there's so many people walking inside. Maybe not now, although there's still a few, but and getting bread and flowers and tea and cheese, and it does feel very alive. It's really nice to just sit and watch people and dogs and cyclists and cars, and there's always something going on. It's like when I saw the ad for this flat, it was like advertised as Little Paris, which I'm sure you've heard. And it really does feel a bit like that. It does feel like a market city with all the little traders.
Yeah, it's sort of the romantic dream of the old Copenhagen in a way, because it's got small shops and people tend to know each other. And I mean, when I lived here, there was no central heating in the flat. So every winter I bought a ton of firewood and I had to carry it up to the 4th floor. And then, of course, it was really, really cold sometimes because we had old windows as well at the time. So it was just freezing cold in the flat. So every day when I came home from work, I would go down, light the fire. Yeah. And then I would go down to one of the small cafes, Café Viggo. And I would sit there for about an hour and a half until it got hot enough to be home. So I got to know all the people living here, and because all the vendors and the little shops, I used to go there for sort of an afternoon drink. And that sense of belonging, being part of a community, I really loved that. And the guy from the cheese shop would say, "I'll come by tomorrow. I have some really good cheese I know you'd like," or "I have brilliant tomatoes today," or whatever. So it's, the sense of belonging is really wonderful, and I don't think you can find that everywhere in Copenhagen. But I really found that here.
Yeah. I guess it's maybe not as strong as it used to be because people move more often. But it's still a little bit that feeling. I mean, I know the guy that sells the flowers downstairs and the lady that works in Dora, and we always try to buy a lot of things kind of locally from the cheese shop or the flower shop or the wine cellar, just because it's nice to support.
Yeah. So have you been living in other flats in Denmark before you came to this one?
No.
No.
We were extremely lucky. What everyone says. Yeah, no, this is our only flat. We initially thought we would only stay for a couple of years until we get settled and we know what's what. But it's really difficult to leave.
But are you going to leave?
No, it's not planned. But
No.
I mean, sometimes we're thinking about something with more outside space. Sometimes we're thinking about maybe buying something would be a good idea, but it's very difficult to find something that kind of lives up to this.
Yeah, I had exactly the same feeling. I thought I should stay here forever, but I had troubles with the owner of the place, and there were lots of difficulties. And when the upstairs bathroom belonging to the people upstairs fell down into mine, I gave up and I decided to move. And I bought a flat. So, in a way, I'm jealous that you're here. I live in a wonderful flat not far from here, but still, this is just, it really is a nice place. Have you been watching? I remember also when I sat at the window here or here at this balcony, looking down on the street here, because this street is so narrow that two cars find it difficult to pass each other. And sometimes in a very slow speed, they would just drive into each other. And I've seen that so many times. And then they would rush out of the cars and argue about whose fault it was. And nothing serious ever happened, but I've seen that several times.
I've actually never seen a crash, but you do see really interesting kind of standoffs when they just like approach each other and then both go like, no, you move, no, you move. And then at the same time, you get like bikes trying to go in between them.
Yeah, and you know that Copenhagen and Frederiksberg, the other side of the street is Frederiksberg. They can never agree if it should be a one-way street or which way you should go and all that. And I love it because it's the only street in Copenhagen where you really have to have eye contact.
Yeah.
You cannot drive here without having eye contact.
Yeah, it's always a bit of a chaos, but it's funny to watch. So I always think like if I had a car, like why you take this road? I mean, surely there must be so many much more easier routes to take. But maybe they like the challenge.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for letting me in and for participating.